We live in a world that rewards output. And there's so many people during this Mercury retrograde that have been exposed for their fraudulent activity. This one girl. This week on Adjusting, we are continuing our series with Adjusting Your Center. And today we're talking about adjusting your love. You can be loved with empty hands. This episode will cover things about the difference between receiving love and earning love. We're going to talk about some of Bell Hooks' work. We're going to talk about Dr. Thema Bryant and Homecoming and how adjusting your center and adjusting your love will bring you back home to you. And you will, again, determine who has access to it while being comfortable with disappointing other people because you are the gift. And your presence and being alone with yourself and with someone who truly gets it is what matters the most. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Adjusting. And we're back with another episode of Adjusting Podcast with your host, Justin G. Nelson. And this is the second to last episode for this season. Thank you all for being open-minded to receive everything from cognitive distortions to what if it all works out to now adjusting our center. It has been a good 23 episodes of growth, healing, adjusting, really pinpointing things, doing the work. And I'm proud of you for showing up every week to do the work. So before we get to our breath, I want to thank TJ with Tea with TJ podcast for editing everything this season. And thank you all for following the Substack channel. And I'm active on Threads. We are on Threads. So if you're on there, I'll be posting daily adjusting tips and tools, book recommendations, and just being more social with actual experts in the field. I did a post, and we have some people in the queue for next season. God willing, I will have my computer fixed, and we can start getting some guests on season 4. Amen. Amen. So, if you are driving, focus on the road. That's important. If you are at home or at work or somewhere where you can take a second to do some deep grounding breaths, I invite you to do so now. What we do is a 4-7-8 breathing exercise so that we can reset our nervous system and be intentional and focused and centered for the conversation ahead. So we're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and release for 8. Before we get there, relax your feet. Relax your ankles, relax your shins, relax your knees, relax your thighs. Rock side to side and relax your hips, relax your stomach, relax your chest. Roll your shoulders back, relax your neck, relax your chin, kind of drop your head forward. Relax your cheeks, your nose, close your eyes, and breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and release for 8. Let's begin. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let it all out. We're going to do one more collective inhale and exhale just to get anything else that might be blocking you, any distractions, whatever. Just want you to be grounded for this episode. So breathe in and out. Great. I hope you got some water. It is currently hot in New York, and we are in the middle of the Canadian fires. So today, while I'm recording, they are expecting something called dirty rain. And that's when the smoke mixes with the clouds and produces rain filled with dirt. I know, we're just really living through some good times right now. So today's episode, Adjusting Your Love, you can be loved with empty hands. Now, this episode was solely inspired from an Instagram post that Ebony shared with me. Shout out to Ebony. And it was basically like a 16 image carousel on Instagram. And that's just like simply if you're on Instagram, if you're not on Instagram, you can post multiple photos on a post, and some people use it to tell a story. So this one, basically, the young lady was just saying, well, you can be loved with empty hands. And he said, what do you mean by that? And the overall conversation was that she was so used to, let me, look, I think I wrote it down. It was a street interview a while back, a woman talking about the day her aunt passed. That's what it was. Her friend showed up that same afternoon, not with advice, not with a plan to fix anything, just with quesadillas and Netflix. And at some point, her friend looked at her and said, I don't need you to be anything right now. I just want to be here with you and for you. And she said it, and she said it was the first time in her whole life someone wanted her there with empty hands. No water to pour, no celery to chop, nothing to fix, nothing to offer, just her. And I find that in most spaces, whether it's family, friends, career, creative, whatever, we have been so conditioned to feel that in order to be loved, we have to have something to give. Like something, it can be money, it can be creative input. And sometimes real love is just being there, sitting in the silence, sitting with the music, sitting with the pain, sitting with the joy, and just being there, not with an assignment or a task. Okay. And so that's what I want to really talk about, like adjusting your center and adjusting your love. You can be loved with empty hands. So let's actually start with defining what performative love is. So I have a few resources here on my desk. If you have never read a book by Bell Hooks, I highly recommend, if you don't do anything else this year, read All About Love. My book club read this book 2 years ago, and this book rewired how I look at love. It's beautiful. So I had some excerpts in the episode that I will be sharing with you, but I have our other books here. So we have Salvation, Black People in Love. We have The Will to Change. This is Male Masculinity and Love, and then I actually have two copies of it because I like the versions, the covers. So we have these two. Ta-da! So yeah, but R.I.P. Bell Hooks. She passed in 2021. So yeah, have those. She has some other books. But yes, so let's talk about performative love. So performative love is that quiet, exhausting belief that you have to keep your hands full of offerings just to be worthy of being loved. It's the idea that love isn't something you receive, it's something you have to keep earning over and over and over with no finish line. So, what this means or looks like is you bring the gift, the help, the fix, the effort, and only then do you feel like you've earned the right to take up someone's space. It's like I did this, now I can receive this. I'm offering this, now this is given to me, or this should be the next step. It's like we have um this equation when it comes to love and receiving love. And that's not generosity. It's a transaction that looks like generosity. It has too many conditions. And if you want to get, biblical, if Jesus operated like that when it came to love, like homeboy died on a cross for us. But anyway, um, because there are hidden expectations when it comes to the generosity and the transaction of it all. If I give enough, I get to stay loved. Childhood trauma. And here's the thing, this belief rarely announces itself out loud. Nobody wakes up and thinks, I believe love must be earned. It shows up and says small, consistent behaviors. Again, the people pleasing, the anxious attachment styles, the reflex to apologize for taking up space, the guilt that shows up the second you rest, the instinct to bring something into every single interaction. Now, don't get me wrong. Like if you show up with like a gift or something, that's one thing. But like, let it be a genuine gift. It can be a plant, it can be a flower. But if you can show up to someone's home and you are the gift, I think that's beautiful. That's just me. I don't know, but some people are like, I was raised. You never show up to somebody's house empty-handed. I feel like that's racist and that's internalized. Like I get the concept of good manners, but the first thing that popped in my head was to help. Like she had to come over with a pie in order to be received into the home. Imagine having every time you go somewhere, you got to have a gift. You can be loved with empty hands. Jesus. So this is where Bell Hook comes in. So I want to slow down a little bit. In her book, All About Love, she writes that love is not a feeling, it's an action. I love you. I adore you. I blah, 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 like that action. It's a verb. Something you do on purpose again and again, not something that just happens to you or that you have to prove yourself into. Now, I was Googling some stuff because it's been a while since I read the book. So she leans on the psychiatrist M. Scott Peck's definition too, that love is not an act of will, both an intention and a choice. Love is not an act of will, it's both an intention and a choice. Sit with that for a second. Okay? Because if love is a choice someone makes, that means it was never a prize you had to win in the first place. It was a decision. It was never something sitting behind a locked door that only your youthfulness could open. It was a decision. And that reframes everything about this episode. When I read that book, I was just like, you know what? Hell yeah, Belle. I get it. It makes sense. If people who love you well are choosing it on purpose as an act of will, then your empty hands were never the obstacles. Your hands were never the entry fee. Hooks would say the entire fee was never real to begin with. Just telling you what Hooks said, okay? Shout out to Hooks. Now, I also want to point out Dr. Thema Bryant, who, again, my homegirl. Like, if I could get her on this podcast, it'd be probably 10 episodes. It'd be a whole series, okay? But Dr. Thema Bryant, again, she's a clinical psychologist and an ordained minister. I think she's in Atlanta, Georgia. But she wrote a whole book, Homecoming, okay? Reconnecting with your authentic self after stress, trauma, disappointment. And one of the very things she names in the beginning, or she names as a sign that you've drifted away from your authentic self, is people pleasing. People pleasing. The constant giving, the constant performing, the hands that are never allowed to be empty, that's not just a relationship pattern. Dr. Thames would call that a disconnection from yourself. You've been so busy proving you deserve to stay that you've lost track of who you actually are underneath all that proving. And her word for the way back to homecoming, not becoming someone new, but returning to who you were before you learned you had to earn your place. Again, that's really what I want to talk about this whole episode. It's circling. Being loved with empty hands isn't just about how other people see you. It's about finding your way back home to yourself. It's about adjusting your center. It's about restructuring who gets access. It's about disappointing other people because you love yourself even more now. You've realized that so many connections, so many friendships, so many situationships, so many bonds and everything were built with full hands. Now that you've emptied your hands, who is staying around? Who actually has roots in your life based off real love. Based off the silence, remove the gift, remove the bows. Who's still around? You. And who else? And I think we have to stop throwing the word love around. People have to earn the love. People have to earn the space. And again, that's why I wanted to do access, disappointing others, and love. Okay? Great. The version of you that existed before performance became a survival skill, where this whole earning your way and belief comes from in the first place. I will say this until the cows come home. Your childhood, conditional love in childhood, the version of you that only got praise when you achieved something, only got warmth when you were quote unquote good, only got attention when you were useful. A kid doesn't consciously reason, I must perform for love, but the nervous system learns the pattern anyway, fast and quietly. Now, if we want to get churchy, okay, the religious layer of it all, this got reinforced spiritually. We were taught grace was free, but so much of church culture teaches performance. Who knew? Earning favor, earning blessings, earning belovedness through obedience, through service, through stewardship, and being good enough. So, even the place that was supposed to teach us unconditional love sometimes taught us the opposite. And that confusion runs deep. We often say, you're going to miss your blessing if you don't do this, and you're going to not. But on the other side of the same coin, we say what God has for you is for you. So, who's right? Was that blessing really mine, or was that blessing tied to a performative nature? Like we shouldn't have a performance ministry, right? Like if that's the case, the only outcome is abuse, manipulation, and false doctrine. But when we operate from the spirit of what God has for you is for you. I know that's not scripture, but it's affirmation that we have adjusted to in the Christian context, and we hold it to be true. What God has for me is for me. There's a song about it. I know without a doubt that He will bring me out. What God has for me is for me. So even with hustle culture, we live in a world that rewards output. And there's so many people during this Mercury retrograde that have been exposed for their fraudulent activity. This one girl, she got me good. Like I was following her on TikTok, and imposter syndrome kicked in. I was like, I'm not producing enough content. I need to be posting 10 times a day on TikTok. I need to do this. I need to learn CapCut. CapCut is like an editing software. I need to be having more hooks and more engagement. Whole time she was scamming people. Now, I will say her content was great. Her content was great, the video content. But there was one instance where she took someone's photo off Pinterest and photoshopped her head on it. I mean, down to the tattoo. Like her head was there. Her hand was there holding a matcha. But everything else was somebody else. And I was like, girl, like, here I am stressing. Like, I need to set up a photo shoot. I need to get some lifestyle images done. And you out here photoshopping and scamming. And that's tied to hustle culture. She felt that if she produced these really polished images that people were just like, yeah, she's on her stuff. She's um, put together. She's professional. She's a fraud, and I really don't like that for her. But somewhere along the way, rest became suspicious. I'm going back to the episode. Rest became suspicious, and stillness in the relationship started to feel like danger. Like if you're not doing something, if you're not posting consistently, you'll be forgotten. And I will say the algorithm, if you ain't posting every day or you don't have a consistent cadence, the algorithm will make you feel like you're not doing enough. And this connects right back to some of the distortions we've covered in past episodes. Mind reading. Like they think less of me if I show up with nothing. Should statements like I should always be the one who helps, or personalization, if I'm not useful, I'm a burden. I like this episode. I hope y'all like it. So, now how does this show up day to day? Because I don't think we really are grasping the concept of the empty hands. Like, it's not just a physical empty hands, it's like a emptiness. Always being the one who initiates in relationships, the one who repairs after conflict, the one who always remembers the dates, the anniversaries, our first this, our first that. And quietly resenting that none of it gets reciprocated, but doing it anyway because stopping feels like risking the whole thing. In friendships, being the one everyone calls when they're having a bad day, but never quite finding the words to say, I'm struggling too. I don't have the capacity. You don't say that because somewhere along the way, you've become the helper, not the helped. In creative work, not being able to enjoy something you finish because you're anxious about the next thing. You're either waiting for the other shoe to drop, or you're like, great, that's out the way. Now I need to keep doing better. Like your worth is tied to consistent output instead of the work itself. And in daily life, feeling guilty for existing without contributing something, offering to help before anyone's asked, apologizing for needing a moment, for needing to rest, for needing to eat. Oh, I'm sorry, I just need to eat real quick. Don't apologize. Eat, because if you pass out, what am I gonna do? Feeling like you have to earn a lazy Sunday. And this is what it costs you, the exhaustion of overfunctioning, burnout. Always being the giver, the fixer, the show upper, the one who helps hold it all together. Not because you're naturally generous, but because some part of you believes if you stop, the love stops too. Resentment that builds quietly in the background because you're giving more than you actually have, and it comes out sideways in irritability, in depletion, in burnout, in resentment. You start to lash out at people. You start, fuck this, I ain't doing this no more. I'm like, hey, come down, take a breath, breathe. And the loneliest part, even when people love the version of you that gives and performs, you start to wonder if anyone would love you if you just stopped. If you said, I'm done, would they still love you? If you said, hey, I don't think this is working for me anymore, would they still love you? If you step down, would they still love you? And like those are the things. Like you shouldn't have to feel that way. You shouldn't have to think, I like the people, but like I'm not really feeling the environment. But if I leave, that I'm not gonna hear them anymore, and then you're gonna be lonely, and then you're gonna fall into a season of depression. And I really don't like that for people. But again, back to the spiritual side of it. As a lot of us were taught, spiritually or culturally, that being loved and being useful were the same thing. That a good, faithful, worthy person, a good, faithful servant, shows their love through consistent giving, consistent service, consistent proof. But Bell Hook Bell Hooks would push back on that. She says real love requires honesty and receiving, not just output. That a relationship built entirely on what you provide isn't love, it's a job you never applied for. Grace was never supposed to be the wage. Section 2, adjusting. How to notice when you're giving from fear instead of desire. Ask yourself honestly, am I doing this because I want to or because I'm scared of what happens if I don't? Now, this is not project based, okay? Sometimes we got to let shit fall apart. But when it comes to you and the love you deserve and how you show up, how you give, all of that, fear giving comes with a tight chest, a sense of urgency, a little voice saying, if I don't do this, they will leave. Desire giving feels light. It feels free. It feels clean almost. And you feel chosen. So imagine saying no to the thing you're about to do. If the thought of saying no brings relief, You are probably giving from fear. If it brings genuine disappointment, you'd likely miss getting to do it. That's desire. Generosity that fills you is not the same as overgiving that depletes you. If you don't get nothing else from this episode, remember that real generosity leaves you a little more connected to yourself. To yourself, not less. Overgiving the kind is the kind that leaves you resentful for an hour later, wondering why nobody does this for you. That resentment isn't a character flaw, it's information, and it's something that you have to take notice of. Because if you continue this cycle, you're going to end up resenting everything. You're never going to be able to receive anyone because you always have a condition tied to it. Same action, completely different experience. Cooking a meal for a friend because you love cooking and love them is different from cooking because you're afraid if you don't, they'll think less of you. Okay, that's a difference. Whew. And so this is where auditing your access comes back in. A couple of episodes back, 2 weeks ago, we talked about adjusting your access, about who gets what from you. This week, audit it through a different lens, not just who has access, but who or what you're handing over out of obligation versus what you're handing over out of desire. Pick one relationship and ask 3 questions. Number one, what do I give here without being asked? What do I get back? And if I gave less, would this relationship survive? The answers aren't meant to end the relationships. They're meant to show you where you've been giving from fear instead of desire, and how much access you need to start limiting to them for them to have to you, and how much love you need to give to yourself. Okay? So again, how it shows up in the body. Chronic performing keeps your body in a low grade fight, flight, always anticipating what's needed next. That's why you feel tired in your bones. Okay, that's why you have these headaches, you feel depleted, you feel all these things. It's not just your schedule. So notice the physical signs. Shallow breathing before a visit with someone, a knot in the stomach before saying no, the fatigue that comes after helping that never actually asks for it. And then your body often knows the truth before your mind is ready to admit it. Learning to notice these signs from a form of self respect, not being paranoid. Now, I want to move to section 3. And these are 5 things to consider as you learn to be loved with empty hands. Write this down, please. So, number 1, notice what you reach for. Before you fill your hands with an apology, a favor, a gift, or an extra effort, pause and ask what you're actually trying to prove and to whom. Sometimes the reach for more is really just fear wearing a helpful disguise. Number 2, let someone see you do nothing for them and stay anyway. Okay, this one's uncomfortable on purpose. Practice showing up empty, no fix, no plan, no offering, and let yourself find out who stays. That's not manipulation, okay? It's not. We're not manipulating the people or the environment. We're just assessing and finding information for who actually shows up. And it's information you actually need to really adjust your center. Number 3, ask what you'd give with no audience and nothing at stake. So adjusting your access means giving from desire, not obligation. And the easiest way to find the difference is to imagine giving with zero audience and zero fear of loss. What's left over is probably the real thing. Number 4, let your body tell the truth. Okay, your mind will justify overextending itself all day long, but your body won't lie. The tight jaw, the knots in your stomach, the shallow breath, the dread before a phone call, that's your access being taken without consent. Start listening first. And number 5, practice being chosen for nothing. Let someone pick the seat next to you. Text you first. Remember something small about you and resist the urge to earn it after the fact. Being chosen for nothing is the whole point. It's proof that you were never the offering. You were always just supposed to be the person in the room. Okay? So as you start practicing this, you might notice something bell hooks said directly, that love without lovelessness requires a kind of collective unlearning and not just an individual one. You're not just adjusting your own beliefs, you're pushing back against a whole culture, capitalism, all that. Your ancestors, you are finding what it is they wanted. Like I love the concept of love languages, but they can be restricting at times. But you're pushing it back against a whole culture that taught you love was a transaction. That's bigger work. That's like something you talk to your therapist about, okay? But it starts the same way it does with you deciding you're allowed to show up with empty hands and still belong in the room. So before I let you go, I need you to really hear this. You are allowed to be loved with empty hands. Not because of what you produce, not because of what you fix, not because of how well you show up for everyone else, but because you exist. And that has always been enough. Bell Hooks spent her whole career trying to teach us that love is a verb, a choice, and an act of will, not a prize you earn through consistent output. And Dr. Bryant back here would remind you that letting your hands rest empty isn't losing yourself, it's coming back home to yourself, coming back to your center, and creating a better version of you that existed before you learned performing was the price of staying. So as we come to a close of the series next week, I really invite you just to go back and listen to more of these episodes. Sit with them because next week is the end of season 3. And until next time, keep adjusting. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you take something away to help you make the adjustments you need. Before you go, please take a quick second to share this with someone you care about. And if you can, please leave a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. For more information about adjusting or to inquire about being a guest, head over to adjustingpod.com. Until next time.